welcome. I'm Daniel G. Garza, and this is another episode of Put It Together Conversations. Special edition. We are bringing you some special shows during the week, and this is one of them. I want to welcome all our friends on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you for being here. By the way, our friends on YouTube, if you do me a favor, scroll down, hit that subscribe button, along with the notification bell that'll let you know whenever new shows are up on the air. Please check those out. I'm really excited. For those of you that are not following me on TikTok, I don't know why you're not. You should. Every morning, Monday through Friday, I have my breakfast readings. So make sure you join me there. One of the cool things about TikTok, though, is that you get to connect with so many people. There's so many people on there talking about their lives, expressing what they're doing. And today's guests, there's two of them. I found them on TikTok, and let me tell you a little about them. Corn-Fed Threads are a father and son startup and lifelong best friends. Dustin Sr. lost his position as an alternative educator working with at-risk students to COVID. That's when school went virtual. Dustin Jr. is a special ed major who lost his senior football season at Northwest Missouri State University due to the COVID-19 pandemic. They are determined to take on the new normal and provide positive anti-racist messaging through their business. And without further, let me bring them on. Hello, Dustin and Dustin. How you doing, guys?
Hey, Daniel. How are you?
We're doing good. So good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate you.
Now, for sakes of the show, because there are two Dustins, we're going to be Dustin Jr. and Dustin Sr. So, well, Dustin Jr., please raise your hand so folks know who you are. There you go, Dustin Sr. I want to make sure that we get the
gives it away.
Say that again?
I said the white beard probably gives it away. I'm definitely senior for sure.
Yeah, just in case we have some folks that are like, which white guy is the junior? Which white guy is the senior?
All right.
Considering that I just talked about racist, let's just throw that out there right now. But before we start, I want to give folks a little taste about who you are so that they can see your video. This is the first video, I believe, where both of you are on together, correct?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
If you're seeing this on your FYP, you might be, or you might be. You're probably. And we know you're not a Republican, but you're definitely vaccinated.
There you go. Okay, so let's, before anything, thank you again for being on the show. It was,
yeah.
I know that the turnaround from us connecting to you being here was super quick, so I really appreciate you guys doing this.
You bet. We appreciate you reaching out. So yeah.
But I don't want to take more time. I want folks to know your story. So Corn-Fed Threads, tell us how y'all put it together.
I mean, you kind of hit it right out the gate. I taught at-risk kids at a school district for several years, and when COVID hit, about 3 days before the school year was supposed to start, they called and said, "Hey, your services are no longer needed," and that was kind of it. And life kind of hit you in the face. Didn't know really what to do and what we were going to do, and we'd always kind of talked about, we got to sell some shirts. I bet we could get some shirts going. If we could get kind of a build up on Twitter, on TikTok, this, that, and the other, and we just kind of jumped in both feet. We had talked about it, and we just spent the money and got after it. And now you're kind of, the progression is right in front of your face. I mean, it's constantly what we do. It's constantly trying to come up with some different kind of saying that folks can buy. And that's really it. There's not a whole lot of thought behind it. It was kind of forced on us, and we just got after it.
Cool. Well, right off the bat, we have, first of all, I want to thank Father Robert for watching. Thank you, Father Robert, for watching. And the first question was, what do your T-shirts say?
So he has the one that says, "I vote for women." And then I have one that says, "Drink beer, don't be a racist." We also have one that says, "Drink coffee," because we took some flack over, "Hey, I don't drink beer. How about a coffee?" So yeah. We got a drink. We got one for you. So.
Yeah. So you both lose out like so many folks did during the lockdown, and you're like, let's do T-shirts. Did you have already an idea of what the T-shirts were saying, or was it kind of spontaneous?
Really, it was crazy how it all started because like we said, we thought we could maybe make T-shirts, but we thought it'd be funny. We didn't know what that realm would be that we would cover, that we would display our message through, and with all the social justice or social injustice, I should say, all the movements and everything that's been going on, and the leadership in our state, in our counties, even, and obviously the United States of America, we just thought, we got to fight something. We got to have a voice. And so it was never about the money, anything like that. And it's still not, it's never going to be. But it's a message, it's a positive message to hopefully build a community of people who can just be together and be safe. So it's really just been one thing on top of another. We really got after our state representative, our state senator, our governor. We just kind of started with ideas of what everybody really says every day, or they're thinking. And so we just put them on a shirt. I mean, they're just words on a shirt, but it's a message. It's deeper, and it's just kind of snowballed into something like this now. So
Yeah, well, I'm 50, so I remember. I mean, T-shirts. Ever since I can remember, T-shirts have a place in society. There's subliminal message to what's going on. Either I remember in the '80s, like all the TV shows, and then in the '90s, it started getting all funky. But I feel like now a T-shirt, a well-placed T-shirt in the right place or in the right video can say a whole lot. Was it your intention to like kind of like turn the knobs a little bit?
Yes, yes. I mean, short answer, yes, because we had to find a shtick, and we're with, like he kind of touched on, in our state, it's flaming red. I mean, flaming red, and we have a shirt that says that, blue dot in a red state. That's us. I mean, we're surrounded by red, and yeah, we're tired of politicians talking out of both sides of the neck. The people of Missouri, yeah, it's a red state, but they still have good hearts and they vote really well at times. We just had a vote for Medicaid expansion. It passed. Fund Medicaid. Well, the guys in Jeff City decided no, they didn't know what they were talking about when they voted, so they went back in and voted no, we're not going to fund Medicaid. This kind of backhanded stuff is happening all the time in Missouri. We actually had to take ourselves to court to say, no, you guys can't do that. So the Medicaid expansion that we passed can be funded. So yes, when you say, was the jab intentional? Yeah, it is. We want better. We want better for our state, and we want better for our kids. We want better for the people around us.
What I find also very interesting about you guys is that you're taking on some pretty big stands, and like that would not. Let me put this in a way. I'm trying to be really correct. Let me just stop being politically correct. You're taking on racism, and we said this at the beginning before the show started. It's like two white guys, but you're taking on two straight white guys. I'm guessing. I didn't ask before.
Yeah, for sure.
But two straight white guys from Missouri taking on racism and women's issues. Aside from what
we can add to that, we drive pickups. Holy shit, we drive pickups. They've got big tires on them. We're supposed to be Republicans that don't fight for women, that tell women what to do. We're supposed to keep CRT in the dirt where it's supposed to say. That's what's expected of us here. And that really is where we got our stick. That's not us. I mean, just because we lurk a certain way, and I have a big beard, and he's got this big goatee and whatever else. We're trying to bust stereotypes. We're still in our infancy. This is 6 months, and it's done well for us. And yeah, that's what we do. No, somebody did gun racks in the back window. We don't have gun racks in the back window, but I'll guarantee you could head to town and see a few.
No. Well, when I first saw your video, and for those of you watching, this is all respect, no insult, no. And that's one of the reasons that I was so attracted to your videos first. the video where you're talking um, about women voting, about how they voted against women, and Jeff City, and I'm just like everybody. If you're not on TikTok, you're missing out because there's so much entertainment. You can get lost for hours.
Right.
First, but second, there is so much information out there. So I'm clicking to the For You page, and you pop up, Senior, and I'm ready to hate you. I'm like, I don't know what this dude's gonna say, but I already hate him.
Yeah.
Let me say something. What can I say negative?
Yeah.
And of course, because I do social media, I'm always very careful about what I post. But I was ready to just be annoyed by
Of
you.
course.
And then you start talking. I'm like, damn you, Senior. I'm not supposed to like you.
Right.
And then Junior jumps in, and I'm like, wait a minute. These guys actually have like a positive message. So then I start going through you, and you really are so like against the stereotype. But I think that's what makes you attractive as humans. Have y'all always been that way, Senior? And was that something you taught Junior growing up?
Yeah. Not nearly as outspoken. He was always kind of an introvert and not very outspoken. He's learned to find his voice a little bit from me. I was always kind of the outspoken one. But yeah, where we're from right now, there's not a whole lot of diversity. Or where we're at. So this kid ended up being pretty good at football and got a football scholarship. Well, he got an extreme dose of diversity right off the bat when he got to the football team, and he's around all these black dudes. And that was the best thing for this kid. Where I was raised around St. Louis. St. Louis is very diverse. I was always around. So the racism I don't get, the racism that's happening where we're at, it just doesn't register with me. And now, when he's always, all of our kids have kind of piggybacked off what mom and dad say and think. And now he just got this huge dose of it. And he's like, these cats are being mistreated.
Yeah.
Not just what he sees on TV, but these cats that he's in the locker room with are being mistreated. So when we started talking about making these shirts, he's like, it just came natural.
Can we talk a little bit about that, Junior? About going into like a culture clash? Because we don't think we're going to have that kind of culture clash in the United States. Like we think like we're all a melting pot, everybody. But it seems like you were put in a situation that you were not used to.
Sure, absolutely. I came from my original school I moved from before moving to Maryville, because that's where I graduated from. I was like 19 kids in my class. I would have graduated with 19 kids. My high school was like 712 was like 96 students. I think we had one black kid in our school, and that was pretty much it. I moved to Maryville, and there's not much. I mean, it's basically the same thing. We're all white. We all look the same. We all go through the same stuff. And so then you get put into college, and you see it not only in your teammates and your friends that you meet on campus, guys, wherever it is, but they have stories of being stopped by the police for no reason when walking home from the bar. Like, it's 2 a.m. It's closed. We get it. Go home. But why do I not get stopped as a white kid, as a white male, when my black friends are they're doing the same thing I am, but they're the ones getting stopped? And so that was definitely just throwing me in there. But it was something that just opened my eyes to a whole different realm of being a human. I didn't understand what they had to go through. And so hearing stories of my buddies, reading, obviously, I grew up in college. That's a big stepping stone in my life, for everybody's life. And I hope they take advantage of reading and whatever, educating yourself. And that's what I had to do. And so learning through their stories and listening to them, that was something that was just eye-opening, definitely.
That's a really huge. Let's highlight that for a second. Educating yourself. It's 2021. What's going on in our country? Because I'm Latino, can't deny that. I was born this way. I've lived like this, and sometimes the Latino stories of how we get mistreated, pushed around, don't get told. And mainly, I think in Latino community, the main reason we don't talk about it is because culturally, we were raised as immigrants to not make too much of a fuss. Don't. Okay, so they stopped you. Okay, so they threw you in jail. Okay, so they took your stuff because they might. I was resident. We moved here, and I was with our documents, and even growing up, we were taught, shh,
Don't make things worse.
yeah, you can get deported. And I'm like, how am I
Right.
going to get deported? I'm legal. Like, what the hell?
Right.
But it is that it's about getting educated. Because my dad, and I say this, I love my dad, but growing up, he was like, don't trust the white guys.
Yeah.
Be careful of the black guys,
Yeah.
and don't hang out with the Mexicans. And I'm like, well,
Oh,
who's left?
yeah.
What do I do?
Good.
We have another question here on the board for you guys. It is interesting. Yeah, it is interesting how Daniel is expressing a pretty racist point of view based on social stereotypes. How do you manage this type of social stereotyping?
We're used to that. That's just like you were saying, you're Latino and you have to deal with that day to day. That's what's expected of us. We're two white dudes and we live in a certain area. We dress a certain way. We're 250 pounds. We're just big, good old country boys, and we need to be a certain way. Stereotype us. We like it. That's good shit for us. We like that. My wife's pretty slick, and she opened my eyes up to something one time. You know, me being pulled over by the police and me instantly running off of the head, which means where we're from. When I say run off the head, it means me talking back to authority. And after I did that, she said, if you were a black dude, you wouldn't do that. She's right. And it's come to light so much lately, unbelievable. And so I have to kind of take a step back. Why do I have to? I shouldn't use my privilege that way either, even though I don't like it, whatever else. I'm so privileged, and that's another word around here. If two white dudes like us say we're privileged, you guys are ignorant, unreal. So the stereotypes, we'll take them. We get that all the time.
Yeah. So before we continue, let me remind everybody you're watching Put It Together Conversations. I'm Daniel G. Guys, I'm your host. My guests today are Dustin Sr. and Dustin Jr. with corn-fed threats, and we're talking about privilege, stereotypes, and good old boys. Yeah, white privilege is white privilege. Yeah, but we can't talk about privilege because I talk about that in the Latino community. I live in Orange County, and people think it's primarily white people, but it's not real. And here in Orange County, there's a lot of Latinos, and I say this because I'm board of directors in an agency, and 60% of our clients are Latinos, and out of those 60, like 70% are monolingual, and among that group, I'm bilingual, I'm educated, I drive, I'm documented, I do things in the community, I'm treated pretty well by the community. I'm on the privilege side. So for those of you out there who think like privilege is only comes in white,
yeah,
it's not true, because I'm very honest about the fact that when it comes to the Latino community, I'm on the privileged side of the spectrum. I can get away with a lot, and I do because I can, and it's not intentional. It's
right.
just coming from an oppressed parents. Once you break out of that, you want to do better. So I guess for Junior, coming from what you're learning from your dad, where would you like to take what you know now?
I I don't know. Who knows? Who knows how far this goes? But as far as learning, it's been a challenging experience to put myself into perspective as well as everybody else's into perspective. Is just understanding, the whole learning process has been crazy. I chose a career in education. I hope that one day that can be something that I help with at my school. I mean, I just got my first job teaching special education. I was hired for 712, but I moved down to 5-6 for this year because of numbers. But I'll be teaching special education to the 5th and 6th graders there. And so hopefully just opening more eyes and it's in another very rural community in Iowa, and so it's just like where I'm from. It's corn-fed kids, and they're just the way I was, and I don't want to have a chance to impact the lives of people, of humans, of future whatever they're going to do in their life, and I don't want to just use my privilege to just let that go by. I doesn't matter who I'm going to teach, what grade, doesn't matter. Whatever, I want to impact their life in the way that I was. But really, I didn't start learning and opening my eyes because my exposure to what he has spoken to me, what my stepmom has taught me. I don't want to use my privilege to push that aside and not utilize my voice. And so this has just been another outlet and megaphone for us to really put our message out there and hopefully open eyes. I mean, change points of view and hopefully, like we said, build a community. But yeah.
But that's so important. I guess this conversation is kind of turning in a different direction than I expected to when it started. That's the cool thing about live TV. Having been a little Latino boy in Dallas, Texas, and having white teachers that I looked up to, Mr. Clark, I still remember Mr. Clark. He was my 5th grade English teacher, and he pushed me to read. I was bullied a lot as a kid, and he would keep me after school to read. He would, because he knew that the bullies were outside, so he would keep me after school so that I would stay and do my homework and read and be safe. And I remember this. I remember why he did it because my mom came to school one day because she got home early and I wasn't home yet. And she marched her way to school. My mom didn't speak English. She marched her way to school, and she made, that was the most awkward because she would make me like interpret for her when they were trying to get on me, and I'm like, I could tell you a whole lie here, but she had me ask Mr. Clark, like, why is he here? Did he do something wrong? And he was like, no, he was trying to protect me and not telling her that I was being bullied.
Right.
And finally, like, he's being bullied, so I'm keeping him so he doesn't have to be, so he can be safe. But he's the one that pushed me to read and learn more and want more. And I think my hunger in life, even during my years of addiction and drinking and not being a good person, what kept me in mind is that somebody always believed in me. So I don't know if this will make a difference when you go off and teach, but I hope it does, that you can use your exterior to encourage somebody like me to go, if this dude believes in me, then there's hope for me.
Yeah.
And none of them
Great. Yeah.
We've got another comment here. But your website is excellent. Does your company do any custom t-shirt jobs for people in other states with their politicians they would like to speak to?
We do. We do. In fact, we probably get requests to do custom shirts and things like that once a week. So we always tell people if they're ever interested in whether it's one shirt or 1,000 shirts to message us on the website and yeah, we're down. We do that quite a lot. So yeah, if they would ever reach out, just anybody can message us and yeah, we go for it.
Cool. Before I continue, let me just remind everybody again, you're watching Put It Together Conversations. I'm your host, Daniel Chigarza. And my guests today are Corn-Fed Threads, Dustin Jr. and Dustin Sr. And we're talking about education and learning and changing the way you think. Have you, as far as you know, have you made any impact or any changes in your community?
Short answer, no. We'd like to say yes, but no. And you have to kind of understand where we're from. So we live kind of out in the country. We have a few acres that we live on. The town that we're very close to is 500 people.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's deep embedded beliefs that they hold, and that's okay. We're good with that. They're great people. We have the best neighbors you can imagine, but are we changing beliefs here? No. Our biggest impact, I think, right now is having other folks like us be able to come out with their voice in this state. The internet, man, it's an amazing thing. We can reach so many people. We're talking to some cat from California that we've never heard of, and we can reach so many people just like that. And it's happened in our state: Kansas City, St. Louis, Columbia, Missouri, Jeff City, you name it. Folks are like, "Holy shit! Thanks for finally somebody kind of speaking up against these folks and giving us a voice." So I do think we've made a bit of an impact locally. Nah, hell no. But in our state, I think so. I think so. I mean, he can tell you. We get direct messages all the time from folks that they're like, "Thanks for your voice," and I feel so much better living in this red state, knowing that you guys are here too. So that's kind of been our impact so far.
And people they'll just message us. DMs are always open at anything. We're on every social media platform. They're like, I can't afford a shirt. I can't afford whatever it is of yours, but I appreciate you, and I appreciate your message, and I appreciate what you're doing for our state, for our whatever it is. And it's just, we appreciate that. We're not in this to make $1 billion. We're not in this to make any money. I mean, we have to have a means, but we want an outlet and a voice. I mean, now we've built 40,000 followers on TikTok, which isn't a huge number. We're not check marked by or whatever.
Wait a minute, how many followers do you have?
40,000.
Okay, you have 38,000 more than I do. What the heck?
Let's see,
you got to start cussing more, man.
Drinking beer,
I'm gonna grow a beard. That's the thing. I'm gonna grow a beard.
Yeah.
Right.
You need a beard, maybe some tats.
That's right.
Great. Cuss some. I don't know.
I know. I told you in the beginning. I know inside of me there's a big redneck boy. I grew up in Texas, so Okay, but that's. Say again.
I said we can see it. We know it's there.
It's just it's really interesting. I have another question on the book before I bring the question, because I talked to my friends around here. Because I live in California, we're progressive, we're more liberal, in parts. Let me clarify for everybody. In parts,
right? Yeah.
But growing up in Texas, I did not realize that I was on the Republican spectrum than I was on the Democrat. I didn't know much about politics, and a lot of Latinos, 70s, 80s, were not that involved in politics, at least not where I come from. But I dated big redneck white guys in pickup trucks, and
right.
I went and shot guns, and I drank. We drank beers,
right.
On the beds of the pickups, and that's what I did. And it wasn't until I moved to California that I started to get involved a little more in the local politics. And I realized, like, Garza, you're a Republican. Like, you're bullying yourself. But slowly, because of where I live, my way of thinking has changed. It doesn't change. I don't think being Republican or Democrat necessarily means that you're more open or friendly or nicer or a better person. It just like how comfortable you are in your situation. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. And that's what it's you going here in our little piece of this state. When we go and we're out in the community or whatever else, everyone's the same. I mean, we kind of talk the same. It's not until politics comes up that's when chests puff up and different things like that. So you said you kind of touched on that. You weren't always into politics and didn't really kind of dip your toe into it. We didn't either. My wife's wild and got a wild hair, and she's like, I want to change some things. Well, when she says she wants to start changing things, she's talking about running for office. And we're like, holy shit. Well, we had to learn a lot really fast. And then that's what we did. We started learning. Well, now we can tell you about anything about the state of Missouri, politics-wise, you'd want to know. It's made us a better person. It's made us figure out the privilege, how big of jerks we could be and not even know it. things like that. So it's opened our eyes for sure.
Yeah, I've always said that as an adult, politics doesn't make you a better person.
Nah,
Republican or Democrat, that doesn't mean you're a better person. It doesn't make
yeah,
you any more important or any less. It's just how conservative or liberal you are in some ideas. And
right,
being raised a Catholic Latino, I'm very conservative on some things. Being gay doesn't make me any more liberal.
sure,
I still believe in God.
yeah,
I like sitting down with the family to eat dinner,
you bet,
and I pray in the mornings. I mean, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm gay. Like it's just
right,
like it's a balance, which is another thing that made me fall in love with you guys. The fact that you had the Pride T-shirt, which is so cool.
yeah.
Oh, there's a funny comment. I almost died in a car accident. I lost my politics when I was in a coma.
Wow,
That going
that's,
a little a little dark there, Jabari.
that's
But thank
tough.
you
Yeah,
for thank you. But yes, when you're in a coma, I don't really think politics makes a difference in that aspect.
yeah, for sure.
Another question for you guys: Do you guys or do you own? Do you guys own your own printing or silk screening,
We go ahead.
or do you do your own printing or silk screening?
We actually use a Cricut for most of our stuff, so we have our own vinyl that we buy from a wholesaler, and so that's where we do most of our printing jobs, or for our shirts, whatever it may be, towels. But we also do for like big orders. We'll get transferexpress.com is a place that we go to, and they make the transfers for us. So we don't own currently any machinery to do our own screen printing or whatever it is, but like we said earlier, we're just 6 months in, still learning the best way to do these shirts and trying to come up with different, designs, different ways to do things, and as well as different methods as far as doing t-shirts and towels, whatever else. So.
So did I hear correctly? You said that your wife is running for office.
She is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we live in a pretty small district, and she's running for a district seat or a house seat from our district.
So you folks didn't just like dip your toes in politics. You jumped in full
Now
force.
you gotta we are just dipping our toes in. He and I are sticking it to the man. That's what we are trying to do. My wife has to be politically correct and all those. That's not. We did an interview this past weekend, and I didn't know whether to be offended or to think it was funny. But he interviewed my wife, and then when he got to me, he's like, "Okay, Dustin, I'm ready for you." And he said, the very first thing he says was, "So your wife's running for office. I take it you're kind of the comic relief." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so, pretty much." And that's what he said at first. And I was like, I didn't even tell my wife that, but I've thought about that since he said that. I was like, man, but that's what we try to make light of some of this shit, but it's so serious. The Medicaid expansion stuff is ridiculous, and it's not like we hitch our chain to Medicaid and we're big proponents of it. But by God, if the state constituents, if the state of Missouri vote for it, hey, do it. Do what they say. But they'll dig their heels in and say, nah, you guys didn't know what you're voting for. So that's about as political as we get. We jump in and say, nah, you're kind of full of shit, dude. And we call it out. And I think in this state, they haven't been called out a whole lot before. So, yeah.
So from this moment on, you're the pretty face of the political.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Just sit there and look pretty, Dustin.
That's right. That's right.
Just fluff your beard and we're going to be okay.
That's right.
So as you've been growing, I find it interesting that you've only been on this for 6 months because you really are pretty well informed. Out of the things that you have learned, what are some of the most funny / ridiculous things you've discovered about politics in your area?
You want to go? I mean, I think kind of just it's opened our eyes up to how they do what they want to do down there instead of doing what we vote for or what we're asking. That's been eye-opening. This whole COVID deal our governor just runs around with no mask and shit. Yesterday, he's tweeting pictures of going to the Boys and Girls Clubs and this, that, and the other, and shaking hands with kids and whatever else. No mask. indoors. We're hot. Missouri's a hot spot. And he can't play the part. He can't even play a good game for Twitter or for TV. He's just out there. He just, and it is, that's what's comic relief in this state. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Junior?
Really, I mean, learning throughout this whole process, we just looking back at what our community, our district, our area, and our state, what we vote against, or what we think we're voting for, but we're voting against ourselves. I think that's a huge thing that's really stuck out, is like you'll talk to people and you'll kind of like start to understand where you're coming from, and they start to make sense, and you're like, yeah, we have the same view. Like people realizing that, and they're like, but you voted for it and I voted, wait a second. And then I don't know, it's just doing that in the past. I wish people could realize that. But yeah, that's been a huge learning point for us, is just looking at history, really. I mean, reading more, I don't know. Those things all kind of open your eyes about, especially where you're from. And just being embarrassed after reading all of it and learning, hearing, listening.
Yeah. Again, I think we can go around in circles all we want, but it really comes down to personal education. And the tradition. I told the story about my dad when I was growing up, like who to hang out with. And for those of you, like, who did you hang out with? My two little best friends growing up in grade school were a guy from the Middle East and an Asian kid. I can't remember where he was from, but those were two friends. But then they lived on the other block, and my mom was so scared of me walking by myself that I couldn't go play with them. So I was like, "What do you do?"
You bet. Exactly.
For those of you watching us on live stream, there was a time when there was no computers. So just to put that out there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we lived it.
What are some changes? And we talked about that just a little bit, but for senior, how did you start making the changes within your home? Because I believe in the ripple effect. I believe that if you drop the pebble in your stream, it causes the ripple, and people definitely learn from watching. But what was one of the first things that you started making a change within yourself?
I've got 5 kids, and I don't think I've ever sat down with one of them and discussed race or how to treat people. But you can go and ask any of those kids, how's your dad feel about this? How's your dad feel about that? And they can tell you. Long story short, I think it's by my actions. If you get into my big pickup, there's probably going to be a lot of profanity-laced rap music that you're going to listen to. That's just what it is. That's my thing. The kids pick up on it. They're into it. My wife and I tried to walk the walk. We're not so much on telling these kids how to vote, how to act, how to lean. You do your own thing, but this is how we do it. And I think that's how they figure us out. And I kind of went off on a thing of raising kids, but my eyes have been opened up to my privilege, and that's I know I have it. I did not. This time 2 years ago, I had no clue. I would have probably stuck my heels in the sand too and said, nah. I grew up dirt floor poor. I didn't have any money. I had no idea the privilege I had even at that point in my life. So, opening my eyes to my privilege, that's been a big one for us, for me anyway.
Now that you talk, I forgot to put the benefit. We were still having the conversation, but talk a little bit about you growing up. Were you? I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but now that you brought it up a little bit more, like, was there generational of a way of thinking that you changed, or?
For me, yes.
Yeah.
My dad was born in 1925. My mom was born in 1936. Yeah. The language I heard, how I was raised, I did a complete 360 on how I raised my kids. Why that is, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I took that about face. That's a good question. I don't know. It could have gone a complete different way. So, we were poor, and my dad thought a certain way, and my mom thought a certain way, and it is quite different. How I changed, why I changed, I'd say educating myself, being educated. Yeah, being being around black folks. Yeah, right. My best friend in high school was a black kid, and so I was ingrained in that. That was my guy, and that was had a huge influence on me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've shared it here on the show before. I went back to Mexico to do junior high and high school, so I was away for school for 6 years, and I would come back for the summers. But it wasn't until I went into business school that there were 5 guys in my class, and there were more, but the ones that hung out, there were 3 black guys, a white guy, and me. And to top it off, the white guy, his name was John Smith. Just to clarify,
Of course it was.
Officially, his name was John Smith.
Yeah,
that's why
as white bread as you can get. Yeah,
dude. But we were buddies. We were buddies. But
yeah.
Because of the way that I was raised, I would say the most insensitive things around my black guy friends, not knowing that I was insensitive, not realizing. And I think a lot of that just comes from, the chains that they just keep us, and it's up to us. I think the important message here is, like, if you're watching this, whether live or on the replay, on any of the 4 channels that we're on, it's up to you. If the way you think doesn't feel comfortable, then change it. It's really up to you. And buy a T-shirt. And
Yeah, man. Kids.com. Please go buy 2. We'll send you 2.
One for you, one for somebody else. And, because they've been very kind. They're going to send me one that says free coffee.
Yeah. And that was that quick turnaround. See, if you gave us a couple weeks, you'd be rocking that.
I know. Well, it was one of those things, like,
hey, when the guests are hot and you got to get them there, we get it. We get it.
These white boys are going faster than bread. I got to get them on here.
Yeah. Missouri white cats. You got it.
Although right now, the most impressive thing that you said through the whole show that caught me is that you listen to rap music. That really just threw me completely off.
Yeah. My and he does more than I do. I'm more of I don't know. Nah, we're about the same, I guess. He just to kind of the newer stuff, but
NWA,
whatever. We listen to whatever. We're just into it,
Tupac,
man.
We know it.
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
Rap music is what brings white families together.
But go to our TikTok. My wife always helps us with our TikToks, and she's like, "What music would you like to use?" And she'll do that, and then she'll get to the profanity lace. I'm like, that one. That's the one I like. So yeah.
Yeah. So for folks that are watching, I'll play the video again, the TikTok video. I just bleeped out one of the words. And so they did ask me, it's like, how much can we do? I'm like, be you, but nicer. Just just there. For everybody watching, this is Putting Together Conversations. I'm your host, Daniel G. Garza. My guests today are Dustin Sr. and Dustin Jr. From Corn-Fed Threads. And we are talking rap music, walking the walk, and we will continue with the theme of educate yourself. This is part of the show where we ask our guests to impart some words of wisdom for our watchers. So let's start with Junior. Junior, what words of wisdom would you like to share?
Educate. I mean, we said we're going to continue on that. Educate yourself. That's what you have to do, I guess. I mean, you have information put in front of you, but you consuming it is your choice. So make the right choice and educate yourself. Read, look back at history, look at trends and different things that have gone on before us, and let's learn and move on and move forward.
Awesome. And Senior?
Get out of your comfort zone. I mean, be tolerant, be uncomfortable, figure out what's going on around you rather than just what's going on in front of you. Kind of look around.
That makes sense. I somehow, when you guys are talking, it's the Auntie Mame. If you're familiar with Auntie Mame, her quote is "Life's a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death." And
Yeah.
I think that where we are currently in the United States, not just for a particular section, but as a whole, we're all just starving now after being locked up for so long.
Yes.
And we're hungry for information. And I will raise my hand first and say, I'm very blessed to have the show. I've had a podcast for 9 years. This live stream has been on the air for almost 2. We've interviewed collectively in all our shows over 500 people in 9 years. So I've been privileged to learn from people. But being in lockdown made me hungrier.
Yeah.
There was I don't know if this is going to make sense. There was a sense of, I know the world because I can wander around, but I didn't realize how much I didn't know until I was locked up.
Yeah. That's a good saying for sure. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That's dope. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So what are you hungry for right now? What is your appetite? What does your social appetite look like?
Change somehow, some way. I don't think people understand kind of what's going on around us in Missouri. This is a beautiful state. Don't get me wrong. I'll never leave it. I love it. I'm born, raised here. We'll never leave. But there needs to be some changes. There needs to be some big changes in this state. That's what, with my wife running and with us having this business, we want to change. Yeah, we're in it for money. I mean, I was unemployed. I mean, we have to make some money at it, but the bigger picture has been 40K on TikTok and the comments we get and making it to 2,500 on Twitter or whatever it is. Those comments from folks has been, we're not alone, and Georgia kind of laid the foundation that it can be done, and Georgia's no more red than Missouri, so that's what I changed. That's a long story. I'm long-winded.
Period.
Yeah.
Hey, it's your episode, dude. Whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Everybody right here, this is their website. Go check it out. It's a really cool website. They have a lot of cool information. For those of you in the beginning, their bio that I read comes from the website, and I liked it because it's nice, concise. It says who you are. It's to the point. I don't want to leave without folks seeing the video again. So let me play the video again. This is the first one that they did together.
If you're seeing this on your FYP, you might be, or you might be. You're probably. And we know you're not a Republican, but you're definitely vaccinated.
I just love you guys. I'm a fan.
Sometimes I'll be looking at my phone and start laughing. My wife's like, "What are you laughing about?" I was like, "Oh, just watching our video."
I'm with you, dude. During the lockdown, now I have pretty much all spiritual energy work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but in the beginning, I was doing the lip syncing stuff. My video, the only video that really blew up was my Cinco de Mayo lip syncing to somebody else. Yeah, I did that. And I'm like, of course, go figure that the Mexican would do a Cinco de Mayo video. And that's the one that blew up. That's the one. The ones that when I'm all inspirational, I'm like, let me tell you your horoscopes. Whatever, dude. Whatever.
TikTok's tough. I know.
It's a hard sell, man. Sometimes it's like, dude, I'm going to have to get some tips from y'all other than the cussing.
No. Take your notebook somewhere else. We get banned every other day.
Yeah, that's
word.
Right now we're in TikTok jail again. So
are you really?
Yeah. But it's whatever. I mean, there's nothing. We're not going to change our messages because TikTok doesn't like it or whatever. So it's just, there's just lulls. We get put in TikTok jail and we'll serve our time and hopefully come out but we'll be the same when we come out. So.
Well, TikTok, here's a message for you.
Yeah.
You can put them in jail, but there'll always be people like me to give them a space to talk. So
That's
there.
right. Yes, right. We appreciate you.
So we still have about 10 minutes. So I'm going to give you as much time as you need. This is your opportunity to put out a message there for people in your area if they happen to see this. What would you like to change, or your political message, or like this is your moment? What would you like to say to the folks in your area?
I think locally, the biggest thing is breaking the stigma. You don't have to be a cookie cutter like, your best friend is just because he is your best friend or she is your best friend. I think just because we are from this area, you don't have to always be so like-minded, especially on every single idea, or if it's just one, if it's the right one that treats people the right way, and you carry yourself a certain way. I think is just break the stigma. Look like me and think like me. Yes, whatever, but just thinking like, taking care of your neighbor. I mean, if you're whatever, it's open your eyes, break the stigma. Let's just not be the same as there's still Trump flags flying in our town. I mean, I'm sure it's all over everywhere. Little communities like that, you don't have to be the same. So breaking the stigma is definitely a big one for myself anyways. Being a young kid, I entered college, and that was 2016. So that was when Trump went into office, and everybody was flying Trump flags. And then why you flying? I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's a cool flag. And then you're like, wow, somebody just, one of my friends just probably voted for him. If not that first election, then his second, when he was running again. So just breaking the stigma and educating yourself, definitely something I would focus on for our community. So.
Thank you. And Senior?
I don't know. I kind of banged the drum the entire time we've been on here, but just getting some change in Missouri, make it a nicer place. Not visually, not vacation wise. We've got some good spots. Vacation, we're known for lakes and things like that. We need some change between our ears, dude. It's that's the biggest thing. I don't want to be known so much as a t-shirt shop as I do as maybe someone that gave someone a voice. That's what we're trying to get done, and hopefully we can sell some t-shirts on the way through. But
well, some of the best influencers, and I've been doing HIV education and advocacy work for 20 years, and being a cancer survivor, I've done anal cancer advocacy work for 6 years now, and some of the best influencers in life start small, and like I say, it's just dropping that pebble. And I'm going to sound very spiritual, but it's dropping that pebble just in your water, in your lake, in your.
That's true. That's true. That just with all the flooding of people who said, "Oh my God, I live in Sykeston, I live in Springfield, These are all towns in Missouri. I can't speak out here. I'll be whatever blackballed, but we don't. I've always been that way. I've always been the outspoken one. I've been the one, kind of, and so, even with him, we have to be real careful with him. My wife more than myself. When we started this and doing the TikToks, I was like, we could probably be dope if we were both on these. And she was just like, you guys got to be smart. He's trying to get a job in teaching. You're in a very conservative area. So we've had to kind of walk lightly with him and just kind of introduce him slowly. So that's just where we're at. And I don't want to be like that anymore here. I want to be able to be us and be okay with LGBTQ and be okay with Black folks, with Latinos. We don't care. That's the change we want to try to get done here. And because that's not the way it is here right now.
Well, I'm happy to fit two of those squares that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And I look forward to being able to travel and coming to visit your ranch.
You come.
I don't. Okay, I want to make sure that I leave this. I'm not going to cry. You're going to cry. Having been raised a Latino boy, scared, influenced by our culture, our religion, social status, uh, LGBT, because I knew I was gay very young. And having been around, again, we said this at the beginning of folks that looked like you, and that I was taught to stay away because you could hurt me.
Right. Absolutely.
And it was hard growing up making friends. And I'm going to say you in the general term. I was hard making friends with
Yeah,
you
for
because
sure.
I was afraid of how you were going to treat me and how you were going to. I was very fortunate that my dad, one of the few things that my dad, he's still alive, but that he has taught me is that it is not your responsibility what other people think of you. You keep your head high and keep walking forward.
Right.
And so I learned to ignore when people were being negative or racist towards me because I just kept doing my thing. I'm like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, then don't
Yep.
listen to me. Like
Yep.
whatever. Uh, but I watched you guys and that video that I played, and I say there's some other little Latino kid, and I said Latino because that's why, but it could be any other color, it could be any sexuality. But there's some kid out there watching your video and going, here are this dad and son, and they're showing me that I don't have to be afraid.
Yeah.
And for that, in the
That
name
would
of
be a huge. That's the huge payoff for us. That really is. Yeah, we can sell all the T-shirts in the world, but it doesn't matter if we don't get that back. So that's what we're pushing for. We appreciate you. You reached out to us and you know our video had effect on you, and not all of our shit is going after politicians. So we want to make the world a better place as you know, stereotypical as that sounds, but that's what we're pushing for. You know, that's what we want. I have a 9-year-old daughter that runs around in the other room, and we want her to be kind and stop being a jerk. You know, and that's what we're kind of getting to.
Here's one last question. David Gonzalez is a longtime watcher of the show. He wants to know if you guys have a podcast.
We don't, but David, hook us up. My wife has talked about it, and we've talked about it, and that is definitely something that maybe could be on the horizon. We don't.
Well, you know I had one for 9 years, so I could definitely give you pointers.
Yeah. You should hook us up and teach us how to do.
I will definitely come up there. And
we both have faces for radio, so that would be perfect.
I wasn't going to say anything, but yes. I'm in love with pickup, so I would come up there just to. I told my boyfriend, I told Christian at the time, like, I will cheat on you with the pickup truck. That's how Texas I am. I would cheat on you.
I mean, I don't know about what shit you're into, but yeah, we can do a couple pickups.
Don't start judging me now. We've been on the show for an hour. How dare you, white guy? Listen, folks, again, Corporate Threads, go check them out. This is their website. Dustin and Dustin, thank you so much for doing this. I so appreciate it. I know we make this quick, but you guys are so awesome. I'm a fan. I consider you friends now. You're friends of the show as well. Please come back.
Anytime. We'd love to. We appreciate you
Absolutely.
reaching out. And yeah, anytime. You call us, we'll pick up the phone.
That's right.
And then as soon as the T-shirt comes in, I'll take my picture and post it on.
All right, man. Do that. Well, good.
Don't go away. Let me put you in the agreement for a second where I'll say bye to everybody. I'll be right back for you. For everybody watching, thank you again for watching. This is Put It Together Conversations. I'm your host, Daniel T. Garza. My guests today were Dustin Sr. and Dustin Jr. from Corn-Fed Threads. Make sure you go check them out. I want to thank everybody on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube for watching us. If you're watching us on YouTube, do me a favor. Scroll down, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure that you are notified every time a new show's on the air. Why do you want to do that? Because we have several shows up. Little Mexican Production has 3 shows. We have our Christian and Daniel show, The Card Devo, and Put It Together Conversations. Plus, if you follow me on TikTok and you missed any of that, go find me on YouTube. All of my TikTok shows in the mornings, Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time, are on there. So go check them out. Also, Grumpy Bunny and the Colors Game. I talk about it every show. So go check it out on any of these 5 outlets. Grumpy Bunny and the Colors Games is a book dedicated to kids about guided meditation. So make sure you go find it. Remember, Put Together Conversations is a show about folks, where you come from, where you are now, and what the journey is like. The idea is to motivate and inspire other people to go after their dreams and goals. And I hope today's conversation has inspired you. For now, I want to thank you. I want to thank Dustin Sr., Dustin Jr. for being here. And we'll see you next week. Bye, folks.